Welcome to the Women in Business Radio Show with Sian Murphy, connecting women in business around the globe.
Hello and welcome into the Women in Business Radio Show. Going a bit mad there on the buttons. You'd think after 7 years I've been doing this. 7 years, same deck, same stuff, same knobs, same buttons, same screens. We may have moved studio, but it all came with us. Have I learned how to do it? Not at all. So embarrassing. Never mind. What do you think it is, Adelle? What do you reckon? Hormones, maybe? I've got to blame it on something. It can't be stupidity, surely.
I'm not sure. I think the schedule might have tweaked.
Do you reckon? Anyway, here we are. It's Thursday. This is the Women in Business Radio Show, and we're live in the Channel Radio studio with my co-host Adelle. Adelle, say hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
We're doing good today. Doing good.
We're going to be heading over into our usual slot that we have in a moment. We're just going to talk about some of the things that we've learned over the week. But let me introduce our guest today properly. It is Natalie Barry. Natalie is a coach, trainer and mentor. And today it's sort of all about money, because that's really what you do, Natalie, isn't it? It's about money. You help women. Is it women or is it people?
Yeah, predominantly women. Yeah.
I tell you what, instead of me waffling on telling people what you do, why don't you tell them what you do? There's an idea, isn't it?
Sure. So I help mainly women in business, some men, some fortunate men get to work with me, and I help them to increase their revenue. So it's generally people are stuck between a certain income level, so I help them with their confidence mainly, because that's generally the problem, their strategy and their sales, and I do that in a variety of different ways, from free groups to courses to one-to-one and all that's in between.
But you have a sort of a little sweet spot, don't you? Because so many times we hear this, we get over the million, you know, your first million.
Make 6 figures in 6 minutes.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the one. Hit your first million. And I mean, seriously, how many times have we had that?
Too many.
And that, for some people, it's just not happening, is it? And they're sitting there thinking, I've got 50 quid here. I'm doing okay. And for you, the sweet spot is down, I think, where everybody has to start off somewhere, don't they? Everybody, whoever you are, wherever you are now, you will have started off with nothing and making your first quid.
Yep.
And you specialise in helping people who are at that sort of 1,000 to 3,000 plateau. Yeah. They've hit that plateau.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that later. But first of all, let's go over to our regular little slot. Mm-hmm. It's getting a bit exhausting for you and I, though, isn't it? Because we can't. I don't know what else to come up with now. Okay, but we're going to be talking about what books we've read this week, what tools we've been using, and what we've learned. So I think you better go first, Adelle.
Shall I go first? So there's sort of 3 things. Well, let's do the tool first. So for me, I have found a really great tool where I create a document or a booklet, and with a piece of software, you can make it editable. So you can put it online, you can use it as part of your courses or something else, so people can actually edit directly online and type it. So that's a really good bit of software that I found that I have now used on all of my documents.
What's it called?
It's called Sejda, so it's Sejda.
I don't know if anybody's noticed now, but actually what I'm doing here, this is where I get free business advice. I get all of the tools I need. I get all of the coaching I need. That's what I do. Mm. So, what's it called?
It's Sejda.
Sejda.
Yeah.
Tell me again what it does.
So what you do, so if you've got a document that you've produced, say
as a PDF,
so it could be a course. So for instance, I've done a course and there is a workbook. So I download it as a PDF, and then when I bring the PDF into this software, I can put in boxes where they can actually type into the workbook. So it makes it, and they save it as that, which is really great. Because again,
I'm still confused.
Yeah, so you add editable workbooks. So you can make this PDF so you can edit it.
So who's going to edit it? Is it the people who are using the workbook, your clients, if you like?
Yeah.
So they could go in and edit it themselves.
They can put
online.
in a drop-down box, yeah, absolutely. And it is really great. So what that means, if you're running courses, then they don't have to print the booklet and then hand right onto it. So what they're able to do is I say, here's your booklet for my course. If you want to take notes while I'm talking, you can actually type it directly onto the document and keep it, which is amazing. So it stops people from printing, clever. And also they can then just build on that. So I found that, which was amazing. So for me, when you're doing so many online courses, and memoir and diaries. It's brilliant, and it's really, really affordable, and it's just.
Because I'm a doodler. I like to scribble on things, so I print it out and scribble on it. But not everybody wants to do that. Other people like to see, because then what you end up with, it can be a bit scrappy, can't it? And you end up with scribbled notes, which is lovely. So actually, what you could do, if you're a scribbler like me, you could do your scribbling on a printed out version, and then go and create almost like your own complete, brand new workbook document to start afresh from, and then when you need to revise and perhaps do a few more scribblings as the course goes forward and you generate new ideas, you can start from a clean book again.
Yes, you can, exactly. And so, like you said, I've probably got my audience is pretty much 50-50 split. Some like to print and write, some like to go direct into the document. But what that one I don't have to produce different documents for different people. One document, and it's up to you how you use it. So yeah, that's worked out really efficient.
Do you have a tool, Natalie?
I'm a big fan of Canva still. I know it's old school, but I love it. I just think you can do so many things on there. And economy-wise, especially if, like, for some of my clients, it's such a handy tool. You can, like, do basic websites, things like that with links on it now. You can do video editing. Like that. That's probably one of my favourite tools in business. I didn't know
you could do video editing.
You can now, yeah. It's very exciting.
I did not know that. Yeah. You see, this is something we were speaking about. Was it last week or the week before? Where actually you really need to keep up with the development of the tools that you already have. She says, clearly not doing that at all. Every now and then, the emails come through and it'll be something like, what's new in whatever. And I haven't got time. And I miss an awful lot because they're moving forwards all the time. All of these apps, they're developing, they're bringing in new things, and sometimes I find I'm going to buy something that's actually now incorporated into something I'm already paying for.
Yeah,
and also it's handy to keep everything together in one place, isn't it? I did not know you could do that.
You can,
and you can direct, because I've been using that for Reels. So if you're using Instagram, then you can do the video editing and then create 60-second Reels and upload them.
And for the premium Canva, so if it's just you and you have a premium account, which I think is about £10 a month, it gives you access to so many images that if you were to go away and pay for, so these aren't just images that you can find on some of the I don't like to say royalty free, but the ones where you can get and use them, websites like Upsplash and that sort of thing, and Pixabay, where you can get images that you can use for an in return for an attribution. You can get access to some premium images on Canva, can't you, as well? If you have the premium account,
absolutely.
You can get images from places like, I think there's something coming off of Shutterstock and that sort of thing. Yeah. And normally, they're going to be costing you sometimes £10, $20, £30 an image.
And music as well now, Sian. They've got music. So again, you can have that without paying for royalties, etc., because they've covered all that for you. So I've found good quality music to add to the videos as well.
One of the other things I've noticed actually on other apps, other tools that I'm using, is the number of people that are now integrating direct with Canva.
Yeah. So
if you are creating, so I use Ripple, for instance, and you can now integrate with Canva, I believe, on that. Yeah, you can. So that you can pull in stuff that you've already created or you've got off Canva. You can now upload it into other tools. There's all sorts of tools that will now integrate with Canva, so you can just pull stuff off straight into it. So thank you for raising that again. And I did not know they did videos. My tools this week. Well, I've got two tools. One, I don't know whether one of them's a tool, but I went and had a massage on Monday. Something that I haven't actually had time to do for ages. And it's really just sort of do something for yourself. And I think we forget how something like a massage, just like moving the lymph around a bit.
Yes.
Sort of getting it moving a bit can really make a difference. And I had forgotten. I've been so busy. Yeah. So that's the first thing. I have a tool, though, that I have been using for a long, long time. And every now and then I'll get one of these out and I'll start using it. And people will go, oh, my God, what is that? And I use Frixion pens that rub out. And they rub out really,
I saw that
really
this morning.
well. You see,
I did. I'm like, I want one.
And I'm going to start selling these. I'm going to start selling them at events, and I'm going to get my Amazon link, my Amazon affiliate link working properly and get it out there. These things, they're absolutely amazing, especially if you're using journals and... You know, if you have a journal, if you have a diary, for instance, if you keep a paper diary and you're writing in it, because they rub out properly, not like, you know, the scrappy rubbings out that we used to have with, do you remember pens, you know, when I was a child and they were supposed to erase? Well, they didn't. It
took the paper
by the time you'd actually managed to get rid of the pen, you had to hold it in paper.
Yeah.
These are really, really good. They also, it will also erase if you put them in the microwave. So you can write an entire journal, stick the whole thing in the microwave, and it will erase it, or iron it. You can iron, so if you heat it, the pen will erase. But they're just really good at actually just rubbing out. They're so clever.
The truth shall never come out again.
There you go. So that's Frixion. That's Frixion. That's my tool of the week.
Right.
So on to books. What books are you reading this week? Who's going to start first?
I this week grabbed Girl Stop Apologising by Rachel Hollis, and it is the word no. It sort of links into my learn. So for me, it's saying no. But I just enjoy reading the book, and it's just about explaining that it's okay to say no. I needed that reminder.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to get into it, doesn't it, sometimes? Especially when things start happening and you get onto a bit of a roller coaster. You just sort of carry on, both with yourself, I think, and also with other people as well. And you're just racing. And you forget that, actually, hang on a minute, stop, sorry, no, I'm not doing that. Okay.
Yep.
Girls Say No by Rachel Hollis.
Yes.
Actually.
For me, Atomic Habits, James Clear. It's an oldie but a goodie. I've never read it, weirdly, before. So it's been on my bookshelf for ages, shelf help. And...
I like that. I've got one of them.
How have I never heard that? Is this something you made up? Shelf help.
I've stole it from somewhere. But yeah, I've got a lot of shelf help. But I decided to pick it up, and sometimes you think you know things, but I'm a great believer that if you don't know it unless you're doing it. So it's just a reminder, really, that especially this time of year, we can have massive goals and go mad and want to change every single habit. But I think it's just breaking it down into small, tiny changes consistently that make the real difference. Yeah, so it's a great book.
Yeah, I agree with you about the this time of year we all start doing this stuff. And sometimes it's a bit of a mystery to me, and I sort of want to take a step back from it and go, there almost seems like there's so much pressure this time of year to be setting these massive goals, and then it sort of slides downhill, doesn't it, over, and then we sort of slip into February and we've forgotten about them.
Yeah.
And I find it, I don't know what the word is. Sometimes I just want sort of January just to go away, so that everybody can stop talking about new goals.
This
new
is my word for the year.
And we can. I have actually got a word for the year. But that we can sort of stop saying Happy New Year as well.
Yeah.
So that we can. I
know what you mean.
No, I agree.
So that we can just sort of. I think I might be really boring. Actually, I think I might just like doing my own thing and getting on with what I'm doing, and I'm going to say my work, but getting on with my stuff, and I don't need all of those distractions of being nice. Oops, there we go. That's that out. So my book at the moment, I don't have one. I'm reading a storybook actually, and I can't remember what it is. So that's that really. But a reminder that I think we can spend far too much time with stuff on the shelf help, thinking I really need to get that off the shelf. Because it can sort of sit there, can't it, glaring at you, sort of like its little spine looking at you from across the room, going, "Why haven't you taken me out? You bought me. You spent a lot of money on me, and have you looked at me? No." I'm reading a storybook. I needed to relax. I needed to chill out. I needed a bit of diversion. Get your fiction out.
Yeah, I think I read Dawn French. Well, I listened to a Dawn French book on Audible. It's very good. I can't remember what it's called now, but
Fiction?
it's really good. Yeah. It's very good.
I didn't realise she wrote that.
Yeah.
I didn't realise she wrote fiction.
It was amazing. Very, very well written /read.
Yeah, you see, I actually quite like crap. I like crap. So there we go. Mystery books. That's it. Lose myself in a mystery book. We're on to now. You see, look, I can't see a thing. We are going to be talking about what have we learnt this week? What have you learnt this week, Adele?
Do one thing. Just do one thing. So for me, there was...
What, all week or forever?
No, just do one thing to get it done.
One thing at a time?
Because absolutely, one thing at a time and see it through to the end.
Doesn't work for me. I've got too much going on.
What I realised is probably for the last, between November and probably 3 weeks ago, I was in that same situation. The first sign of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I sat back and thought, no, just focus on this one thing. And I have. And I've just focused on that because I've got something to build and do. So for me this week, my lessons learnt was just focus on the one thing. And it has made a huge, huge difference in terms of my productivity and also the weight of the world that I felt on my shoulders. And I just said, no, just keep the main thing for this week.
Sometimes you can't do that.
No.
So I have a little bit of a sort of side, sort of antidote to that, is time blocking, which I've started using recently, which is like that. That's about focusing on one thing at a time. Yeah. So shutting down absolutely everything else and going, okay, for the next hour, I am going to be working on that event. And that's it. Yeah. Nothing else popping up, nothing else doing anything. So do one thing at a time.
Yep, perfect.
Natalie, what about you? Yes. What have you learned this week?
What have I learned this week? Getting back into journaling, really, because I sort of have I'm a very inconsistent journaler. And I think sometimes when you've got things buzzing around your head, as we do as entrepreneurs, 30,000 ideas a minute, I think it's good to take a breath and notice what's whirring and what is constantly going around your mind. So I just took half an hour out and wrote some notes on why am I thinking this, what do I need to do, what could be different, how can I change it, who can I ask for help, things like that. Just asking myself quality questions. And I think that's a big problem with entrepreneurs is we have our brains are so full of everything. You need to take a breath and allow yourself some space for clarity, really. And then you're far more effective and efficient.
That sort of ties in with my thing for what have I learnt this week. And this is something that I actually put out on my personal Instagram profile. It was about doing something slow that helps you slow down. So I've got every gadget known to mankind for making things efficient and making things happen fast. I really have. You name it, I've probably got one. I've probably got a spare in the cupboard or somewhere else in the utility room. But actually, when you do something that takes a long time, so for me, it was a casserole. For the last goodness knows how long, every meal we've cooked, even if we sit down and eat it nicely with a glass of wine, everything we cooked has happened fast. And I thought, I just stuck a casserole. I could have cooked it in another way, but I just stuck a casserole in the oven and I started it off in the morning and I just sort of left it there. And just that act, of having something cooking really slowly in the oven actually slowed me down. It just slowed me down. Nothing else had happened, just that.
Yeah.
And I think it was just having that thing sort of going slowly in the background that made me calm down just a bit. I didn't achieve any less. In fact, I probably achieved more.
Yeah.
I get that. Funny enough, because I got my slow cooker down and put in some bits and just let it cook, and just the smell and the slow. So that's why I'm laughing, is because that's what I did on Tuesday. Just brought out my slow cooker and just let it go, cook really slowly.
Right, we've done that now, then,
We
haven't we?
We're slow.
No, we've slowed ourselves down to the point where we've all stopped. Yes, okie dokie. Right then, better talk about something else, haven't we? So, I think we need to go on to money, don't we? It's something that people start thinking about this time of year. I don't know, what do people think is going to happen in January? That suddenly we're going to get to... I don't know what I thought was going to happen in January, but I had my last event. I can still remember it. I can't remember any other date, including my own birthday, but I remember that my last event of 2021 was on the 18th of December. I don't know what I thought was going to happen between the 18th of December and my last event and the next one coming. But that was it. I was building that was it. 18th of December. Something miraculous was going to happen after that, and guess what? It didn't. Life just sort of carried on as normal, and I think that's something that we do as we come up to the end of the year, don't we? We sort of try and put it all behind us, and then in January, suddenly we're going to set new goals. We're going to do this. Our income's going to change. This is going to change. That's going to change, but sometimes it doesn't, does it?
Nope.
And I think that's sort of where you, Natalie, come at things from helping your clients.
Yes, absolutely.
Because they hit a plateau. It's like a brick wall.
Yeah.
Except I think when we hit an income wall, we don't hit it like a brick wall, do we? We just sort of keep walking very slowly at it.
Yeah,
and bouncing back
against
a bit,
the edge.
and then we hang on a minute. All right, well, hang on. I'll just walk towards this again, and then nothing happens. So we come back a bit, and then we get cross, and then we get frustrated. And I think that's where somebody like yourself comes in to actually sort of pull us back out of it and to have a look at what's going on. But I want to start at the place that you sort of focus on most, which is this sort of £1,000 to £3,000 a month income barrier.
Yeah,
which I've never heard anybody else talk about that. Normally it's hey, have you hit your million? No, you make your first million. Get over that sort of...
let's make 10 figures a month.
that brick wall. Normally it's a really big sum, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in actual fact, for a lot of people, it's not. And the other thing is I think at one to 3,000, for most people in most countries and civilizations, that is the sort of, you need that as a minimum to live,
income.
don't you?
Yeah.
And so that means that there are people in business who are not making what you've called the survivability income.
Yeah.
Which is not that good, isn't it?
No.
So she says, I have notes. Right, this is the problem. When I don't have notes, I know what I'm doing. I've got notes, so I just need to shuffle. just need to shuffle through my notes. One of the things we asked you is a common question that your clients ask you, or should ask you, but don't. And what you said was, why aren't I making the money I should?
Yeah.
And that's something that clients actually don't ask you.
No. And the reason
what
why...
What do they ask?
Well, we've got... I think to tell you why they don't ask me is it's embarrassment. No one wants to admit that they're not doing well, weirdly. And unless, like, you are maybe in a more intimate setting where there's trust and things like that. And I think social media doesn't help that because there's a lot of pretense. There's a lot of, like, oh, look at my fantastic life and my Lambo outside my mansion and all of this.
What my nan used to call... fur coat and no knickers.
Yeah,
exactly.
My mum did. That's what my nan said to me.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think, what we forget is it's lovely to be inspired by other people online and people that do well, and I love that myself. Aspire to be more than I am. That's humans. We grow and evolve. But I think what it can do is it can make you feel embarrassed about what you earn and then judge yourself and get the, metaphorical baseball bat out and start smacking yourself around the head with it, which keeps you in that perpetual cycle of being stuck in the level of income you're at. And I think especially in January, we're told to hit goals. So we almost like pluck a number out of the air and go, oh, that's what I want to achieve this year, without actually breaking it down. And for me, a constant thing I say, again, it's not mine, I've stolen it from somewhere, but is that if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. So it's like, how are you going to make that money? Where's that coming from? What are you selling? How many of those things do you need to sell to get to that number? When in the year are you going to sell them? And it's like, we're off out the tracks in January without a plan or an idea, and then what happens is as the months go on, we just get more disheartened with it. So it's like the real question is, why aren't I making any more money? Is it calls you to take a look at, why aren't I making any more money? Not why aren't more clients coming to me? Why isn't my audience big enough? Why isn't my bank account showing the zeros I want it? It's like, why aren't I making more money? And it gives you the opportunity to look at yourself and look at what blocks are holding you back, or how you're holding yourself back in any way to get the income you desire.
One of the things that you just sort of mentioned, and I'm just going to extrapolate on it a bit because you mentioned numbers, is that sometimes I think we all get quite focused on a monthly income.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that in business, does
No.
it? And I wonder if we initially get focused on this. I've got to earn 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 30,000 a month, because some of us have come from salaried backgrounds where
that's
you
right.
get the same. It doesn't matter what happens during the year. You get the same amount of money at the end of every month, come hell or high water, regardless. But in actual fact, business isn't like that, is it? Business is in cycles. And so trying to sort of squash an annual cycle into a monthly income amount on your business or turnover, it really doesn't work, does it?
No.
And it was when I went from trying to do that to actually looking at, okay, what does this bring me in a year?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to run my business and my life a year? And what does what I'm doing bring, how does that achieve that?
Yeah.
And started looking at it as an annual figure rather than monthly, that I got the clarity that I needed. I also realised that I wasn't earning enough money to cover...
Oops.
but I had to do that exercise, actually. I had to
definitely.
come away from thinking monthly to start thinking annually,
Yes.
to actually realise that. That what I was doing wasn't sustainable, that it was okay. It was sort of right up until the time that something went wrong. And as soon as something went wrong, it wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And do you find the people that are coming to you are thinking monthly, and is that part of...
Especially if you've come... I mean, it's very rare. I think of one person, and I know quite a lot of people in business that have... the vast majority of people have come from work, so a job. So we're used to that mindset. We're taught that, and that's what gives us. I think I spoke about this before. Is like the glass ceiling. Like we have no evidence or experience of earning generally any more than we've earned in a job. So we have that, and like you talked about butting against the edge of things, or we reach that level and then we come back. And there's a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, and in it he talks about the glass ceiling, and it is a little bit like that. Like you sort of like keep smashing yourself against this glass ceiling, and it's only when we deal with our limiting beliefs that we can pop through that. And it's not about working harder or doing more work or having crazy figures in our brain. It's like doing the work on ourselves to understand why we're holding ourselves back to get that. But yeah, it generally is monthly. But I think, like you said, business doesn't work like that.
It doesn't, does it? So you can't... I run regular monthly events, but I also have 2 or 3 big events a year. Yeah. And so it's no good going, right, well, okay, I'm going to earn that this month and that month, because it doesn't work like that.
No. I think the only way it can, I mean, and this is a time thing, really, time spent. So you can have launches and things like that, and they're all going to be different. Generally, you're going to earn more money the more launches of a product you do. But the only way really to get some degree of certainty in business is to have recurring revenue. So that might be something like a membership or something that's got a monthly subscription, a bit like Netflix. So I'd like to be Netflix, to be fair. I'd like to have that sort of recurring income.
Would you really? Oh,
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
But it's like that. So then you've got some degree of, and this is what I try and teach my clients to have, is like, try, not necessarily straight away, you don't have to do all things straight away, but having your plan for the future, a model that's going to give you recurring income, and then you've got some sort of idea that's generally going to grow.
Do you think we ought to talk about now the myth of passive income and what and what it is and what it isn't? Because there is an element of passivity in sometimes in the recurring revenue model, isn't there? It's just not as passive as people would have you believe.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you this. My dad's a builder. He's been a builder forever. And he says, I'm going to build a website and I'm going to train people how to do building. He said, and that's it, everyone will buy it. I said, no. It doesn't work like that, Dad. You need to do marketing. You need to have your SEO. Not that he understands all this stuff, but it's like nothing's just going to come to you. There's no real such thing as passive, I don't believe.
I like to think of it more as multiplication. Yeah. That you are creating one thing, so you're creating something that instead of it just being for one person, so you're sitting and working with say one client at a time, you create something that you can actually deliver to lots of people at the same time.
Leveraging your time.
So you're multiplying what you're doing and how many people it can go out to.
Absolutely.
And that just increases what you're able to do. But it's not passive. People aren't just going to carry on buying the same stuff all over. It's going to run its course, and you're going to have to do something else.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get it out there. You're going to have to market it. People are going to go, actually, no, that's not what I thought it was going to be. So you're going to have to deal with refunds and all of that sort of thing. It's not just, I'm going to press a button, I'm going to publish something, loads of people are going to buy it, and then that's the end of it for the rest of my life. It doesn't work like that.
No, sadly not. It'd be lovely if it did. We'd all be a lot richer.
It would, wouldn't it? So I think perhaps what we're saying here is actually looking at your income in terms of the way that you are able to generate money. If you are generally able to generate money regularly, month, without any variation at all, then it's okay to look at your income monthly. But annually, we're going to have variations in what we're able to achieve. We're going to have up months, down months, but also our expenses go like that as well, don't they? Not everything is always month to month.
Yeah.
So, what is? Sorry, I'm losing my place here. I can't see. I can't see a thing. So the key question is that people aren't asking: why aren't I making the money I should? If people can't get themselves above their, let's say that whatever plateau it is, but for the purposes of this discussion, say 1,000 to 3,000, what's the first thing you do with them?
You have to take an honest review of where you're at, and I always use the analogy of a sat nav. And this is what we do in January. We're very focused on the postcode of the destination we're going to, but we forget the main thing that the sat nav needs, which is your starting point
And some petrol,
and sound.
And you might need to stop off along the way, and also you might need to stop off and have a wee, that sort of thing. It's not just totally. I'm just going to go there and it'll be fine.
Yeah, but we focus on right. This is my goal. I want to get my goal. How do I get my goal? What do I need to do? And actually, that should be way down in the line of your steps of thinking. It's like, right, first of all, let's look at where you're starting. Where are you now? Let's take an honest review of what's coming in already. What have you got? Like, what's your audience like? What have you got? An email list? What social media
an audit?
Like? Yeah, an audit of where you are, and also
that's a good word, isn't it?
That's
a good
word.
I don't want you stealing that word.
It's already done. It's already taken. Too late.
Because I've already heard two things you've nicked already. So basically, do an audit. An honest audit. I think it's difficult to do an honest audit of yourself, actually, because I think we either make it a lot worse than it is because we're beating ourselves up, or we make it a lot better than it is because we're not looking at the bad bits.
Yeah.
So this is where somebody like yourself might come in, where you will actually do an unbiased audit of where somebody currently is.
Yeah, and I think it's important, like women generally, but especially women in business, we're not meant to do it alone. So go get yourself some support, whether it could be a free group, it could be friends that you've got in business, get along to networking, whatever it is like being able to talk about this stuff and understanding that you're not alone. There's other people that feel like this. And what other people talk about, something like we're doing this morning, is you're sparking ideas off each other. So you're getting to learn more about yourself. And it's one of the most important things I've learned, and especially honed in it over the last 3 years, is really be honest and speak your truth, especially with yourself. Don't BS yourself, because that's not going to get you anywhere.
I was going to use the full word. So basically, do an audit. So perhaps a good idea, if you're going to do this yourself, if you're not going to head into a mastermind group, and I have to say, watch this space for the mastermind group. But if you don't have a mastermind group, or you don't have a mentor, you don't have somebody that you're actually going to sit down there with, it's a case of perhaps getting a preset audit, isn't it? Some questions or things that you ought to be looking at, and going through them and making sure that you fill it out properly.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. I'll just look at what you want. Like, I'm a big believer of keep it simple. Like, one of my mottos is keep it simple, mofo. That's one of my branding I haven't got on today. But yeah, and it's that. It's like, right, I want to make more money. Okay, what am I earning now? What do I want to make? What's the gap? Like, simple and obvious. You don't need to go mental, and it's a bit like Adelle said earlier, it's like one thing at a time. Like if money is the biggest pain in your life, look at that first.
Deal with it.
Yeah. You know, don't go, oh, I need to, right, in order to make more money, I need to lose 2 stone. I need to walk every day. I need to journal. I need to meditate. I need to talk to a friend. I need to do 5 business courses and then I'll make more money. No, look at money. If money is the thing you want to change, look at that and do one thing at a time. Because if you're trying to do all the things and you think, unless I do all the things and unless I'm absolutely perfect, you're not going to do anything because you're just going to be overwhelmed.
But also, some of those are, I'm not immune from this as well. I've caught myself doing it. But a lot of that is all just procrastination and distraction, isn't it? It's not about getting down and doing the scary stuff. Because making money is scary. Because people are going to pay you stuff. Some of them may not be happy. Some of them may complain. Some of them may not pay. Some of them may do all sorts of things. But somewhere along the line, you're going to have to put your good big girl pants on and actually have that exchange. And it's far easier to say, I'll go and do a business course. I can't possibly earn any money until I've gone and done that master's. And that'll only take me 3 or 4 years. And then I'll think about earning some money.
Exactly. But I think the way I see it is like flipping the switch and changing your mentality, really, is because if you think about it, anyone that's ever had a job has sold themselves. So say you earn £30,000 a year. You are being paid £30,000 a year to do your job, and it's no different in business. It's exactly the same. And in a job, you might get in trouble if you do the wrong thing. You might, be sanctioned. You probably will experience complaints, and it's not the level of responsibility you have in your business, no. But you have already been putting yourself out there, i.e., interview. And getting paid for your services. And it's no different in business. And we've got to stop equating it to it's personally about us. All we're doing is they're not buying us, they're buying the service or product that we provide.
But that's what it feels like, isn't
it does. But this is why we've got to switch our mentality around it.
It feels like it. And sometimes I think they are buying us.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So sometimes, for some people, and perhaps it's a different conversation, but for some people, it is them that they are selling.
Yeah. And I think it's with anything, like even if you go to, like whether you choose Marx's or Asda, we're buying the personality of the brand, and that's what we do with any business.
But I think if I set up business as a shop and I'm selling cans of Heinz baked beans, yes, all right, they may. If I'm rude to people, they may not like me particularly, but they're still buying Heinz baked beans. Yeah. And I do think that's different to me saying, hey, come and have a one-to-one with me.
It's different.
Come and have a one-to-one with me. Let's see how we get on, or I'm going to change your business, or I'm going to design a website for you. It's my creativity and my personal skills that are being sold there.
Yeah, but I think it's like we make it a lot about ourselves. When
I do.
In actual fact.
It is about me. Sorry.
No, we all do. But when you think about it, yes, you do need to have applause. You do need to, especially in coaching and mentoring. Even a course, you need to relate to the person. But it's about your client, not about you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when you say you need to relate to the person, actually sometimes I think it gels or it doesn't.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it's not you. It just doesn't gel, and you have to have the courage to say, sorry, this isn't a good fit for us.
And this is why you have to say no.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and you
looping
do,
round.
and you have to say no.
Yeah.
And that perhaps if you get if we'll call it the courage, or you know what your boundaries are, or you know who you work with well, or who isn't likely to work well with you, and you send them on their way and say no thank you, and you send them off to a better place, actually it could become a lot easier, couldn't it? Yeah. Adelle?
I've got to build on that. So when I'm working with women, suppliers, so a woman will say to me, so-and-so hasn't done something, and I go, you're the boss. You're the boss. You can, that supplier, if you've chose them or you're working with them through a contract and they're not doing what you want them to do.
It's down to you.
It's down to you. And it's okay to say, I'm the boss. And they go, oh, yeah, I forget about that. Because, again, you're used to that institution. So I say, so as much as you're having that discussion around clients, which is, sometimes a bit more obvious, I have more fun when I'm talking to women about, is that a supplier? Yeah. Well, go and find some more. You are the boss.
Move.
So write that on a piece of paper, remember, and there's a song, you're the boss. And they go, yeah, I am. So I do sometimes around even suppliers, and having that is just really fun to see when a woman, the light bulb goes on and go, yeah, I am actually the boss, aren't I? And I go, yeah, you are.
And sometimes we forget that,
We
don't
do.
It was Beyonce, I think, who said, "I'm not bossy, I'm the boss."
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So one of the things that you're talking about, Natalie, is simple sales.
Yes.
What do you mean by simple sales?
Well, it's very relative to what we've been talking about this morning, really, is keep it really simple. So, yes, I agree, have a year goal, and I agree that you're not going to split that year goal down into monthly chunks. It won't work like that. It'll probably, if you are consistently doing what you're meant to be doing, it'll expand. So you might earn 2,000 and then in 3 months' time you'll be earning 4,000 and then 6,000, etc. But when I mean keep it simple is oftentimes we're off the starting blocks trying to do everything like I talked about earlier. And I like to work in 90-day chunks. So I would say if you're going to sell something, I'm not saying don't sell other things in the meantime, but predominantly market one thing every 90 days. So it could be one-to-one services, it might be a course, it could be a physical product, but just focus on that, because when you focus your attention on one thing, two things happen, is that your audience don't get confused. So if you're selling a different thing like every week or every couple of days, they're not going to know what to choose. And there's a saying that goes, a confused mind never buys. So what we want to be doing is being really clear in our message and our intention for how we want to get there, and really solely focus on that thing that's going to... And generally that thing will be the thing, yes, that makes profit, the thing your clients need. And the last thing and most important thing is what brings you joy. Because if you're not passionate about something, you're not going to sell it. And that's key to selling. So pick that thing, like rate each thing out of, joy, profit and value. Right. So if you rate each of those, put everything you want to sell down, and you have joy, profit and value, and you mark them all out of 5, and the one with the highest score, sell that for 90 days. So it's just keeping it really simple and having all your marketing geared towards that, and then people know exactly what you do, and it's a lot easier to sell. And what that creates eventually, if you're consistent enough, is people coming to you asking you about the thing you're selling.
For your stuff. And then, but you need to be ready for that.
Yes.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Ready for the boom.
We were having a discussion about that this morning, about my challenge at the moment is I've got so many people trying to book on to the radio show, trying to book into events. It sounds what a wonderful problem to have, but I have to deal with it, because if I'm not careful, my reputation will start to be damaged because I'm not getting back to people. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be ready for when that bit arrives as well. Otherwise, you're going to sort of miss the boat and pee people off, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Coming back, did you have something to just say before we move on to the...
No, that was going to say, actually. Literally what we were talking about this morning.
Was that I don't have enough time to talk to everybody to get around. So I've got to sort something out about that. I have that's my job to deal with. I just wanted to come back to some of the things that you said. You said if the joy, the profit and the value.
Yes.
All right. Do you think if you're not making a profit from it, and or it's not bringing you joy, it needs to go?
Yeah, in the bin.
In the bin. What did you mean by value?
So there's two types of value: value to you, and value to your client. So, the goal is in business. I think the main goal is connection. So, and I don't mean slide into someone's DMs and tell them all about all the stuff you've got, because that is the most horrendous sales tactic ever. Just want to gouge my eyes out with a spoon when I see people doing that.
It leaves me speechless. I connect. Somebody will ask me to connect on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I will. I'll look at what they do and I'll connect.
Yeah,
and then 2 seconds later, I hope you don't mind me dropping into your inbox. I just thought you might want to know about the whatever.
I've got a tip for you.
Yeah,
how do you know I want this tip?
I've got some bloke who keeps emailing and messaging me. I don't know what I'm not sure what it is he's selling or doing. How about this? I doubt if he's listening, but if you are, for goodness sake, how about this? I'd still wanted to know if I can block your diary for 10 minutes. Who uses words like that? Can you think of anything more off-putting than block your diary?
No.
That is not going to sell. That's not going to sell anything, is it?
Isn't.
So
I might block you.
Yes. Somebody from the NLP world, who does a little bit of word work, needs to get hold of this poor soul and tell him that asking somebody if you can block their diary is not a way to get yourself into their diary.
No.
But no, so sales-wise, please don't do that.
No, oh, please don't. And the thing is a lot of people have been taught shoddy methods of selling. And what we've got to remember is, if you think you was in a physical networking group, you wouldn't go up to a random stranger and go, "Here, I've got this thing, buy my stuff." Like, they'd be like, "What on earth is going on here?" Walk away slowly. But I think you would ask them questions and get to know them. And one of the most important things in sales, and I think in life, if you're building relationships, is remembering that you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth and using them in that proportion. Because you can't possibly offer anyone anything unless you know what they need or what their desires are, what their problems are, getting to know them, where they're at. And then only when you know that and you think you can genuinely help someone, then you can offer.
I'm going to put just a little sort of question around that, because there's another bit of me that is going, they must get a result every now and then. Because it must work on some level. It must work. I think I don't do it because it's cringy. Yeah. All right, it's cringy and horrible. So I don't like it being done to me, therefore I don't do it. But somewhere along the line, it must work.
Yeah, for people who have less belief in themselves and think these people know better.
But if you sell stuff... Yeah. So I'm playing a bit of devil's advocate here. But if it sells stuff, if your objective is to sell stuff, is to move a product from unsold to sold, and that technique, whilst us lot here find it nauseating, if it sells, is there a problem?
Yes, because I've worked in recruitment for lots of years, which is a fantastic industry. I
can imagine.
But I was very different. And it took me a while. It took me about 6 months, but I got to the top of the recruiters in about 6 months. And the recruitment consultants couldn't understand, who is this girl? What she do? She's a girl, number one, and recruitment was predominantly men at that time. And I just laughed because what happened was they were so pushy and they would get loads of leads and loads of business, but they would get loads of new business, right?
And it would drop off as well.
It would drop off. So what happens is if you're doing shoddy sales and you're getting people in quickly, what you don't get is retention, which is the easefulness of a sale, right? So what ideally you want is you want to build lifetime customers, people that want to keep buying your stuff, and if something else comes out, you do that. Yeah. But if you start off shoddy, yes, you might get a quick buck, but you're not going to keep it. And what you're going to do is spend the rest of your sales and business life chasing new sale after new sale after new sale.
And what you want is people recommending you and coming back themselves.
Absolutely.
So that is why we don't do that. So please don't do that.
No.
And if you're messaging my inbox on LinkedIn and Facebook, please stop that, because I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to you. No. Were you going to say something?
I'm going to create that exactly. This is the cost of churn. So for me, you might get that quit, but that churn, and actually, same when I was recruiting, it's so costly to recruit. And if you get it wrong, then you end up with churn and more cost. Yep. So for me, you have to play the long game. And exactly like you, if you're in my inbox, you're not playing the long game, and I'm just going to block you.
Let's go back and do a little bit of a recap here, because I think I've hijacked the conversation a bit. Don't laugh, it's not... What I want to do, so here we are, we've hit an... How do you know that you've hit an income barrier, actually?
Because you're not getting past it. So you might, say you're on 30k a year, which is pretty standard, but you're desperate to get to 50k, you're just not doing it. You might get to 49, maybe, might be your best year.
I know that sounded like a really, really silly question, but...
No, it's not silly.
But I can see how sometimes it can take an awful long time, a lot of frustration, tipping against the wall, trying different things, before it finally dawns on you that actually there's a barrier here, okay? Yeah. And it would be an awful lot quicker if that period of realisation time could be concertinaed down into a much shorter period of time. So you spent less time sort of tipping at sort of dipping your toe and kicking lightly at this sort of glass ceiling.
Yeah.
How do you know that is there a way of recognising much quicker, much sooner, that actually there's a barrier here that you need to do something about?
Yeah, I think generally business is great, but business is better with self-development. And I think if you know more about yourself, then you're going to understand those things more quickly. And also, a massive part of growth is, yes, you can wing it when you're first in business and just make the money you can and all that stuff. But if you really want to grow and you want a sustainable business that has longevity, then you need to monitor your numbers. And you need to monitor yourself, like have a self-check-in and listen to yourself, what's going on, the words you're saying, the actions you're taking. Does that all marry? And then that's going to help you identify much quicker any blocks that are standing in your way, and give you the opportunity to seek help, whether that's in a book or journaling or.
So we're saying
courses.
here that there are two issues. The first is you're looking at your numbers, and your numbers are either not going up or they're going down.
Yes.
So there's something is not happening there. And the second thing is you're tuning in to yourself and paying attention to what's going on there. You're perhaps becoming aware of where you know you should be doing something. You've decided to do something, but you're procrastinating.
Yes.
You're looking at ways of avoiding doing something. So you're just becoming aware of perhaps your internal attitude and how that's affecting you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, do you know, the hour, it goes so fast, doesn't it? We haven't got much longer. We haven't got much longer at all. I would like from you, Natalie, your top tip, okay, your top tip for getting over that money barrier.
Understanding what you want. And one of the things I do every month is an exercise by Denise Duffield. Well, it's coupled with a few things I've learned. Denise Duffield Thomas is a great personal money mindset. She's got lots of books, but a good one is Get Rich Lucky Bitch. That'll help you with that, first of all. But one of the exercises I do every single month without fail is I write down all my money memories as far back as I can remember. So, like, I can't afford it, or, you know, you're not good enough, or all that stuff. And I write them all down. And then I do a thing called tapping. Or EFT, as some people call it. You can find it on YouTube. There's millions of videos on it. And I go through each one and I tap on it. And you start the tapping with, even though, say, for example, I'm not enough, and the end has to be, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And what that does is it brings your awareness to the blocks that are holding you back, and it helps you to start clearing it. And it's like the layers of an onion. Some of them will never go. You just keep getting bits. But the consistent practice of that will help you deal with any blocks you have around money.
So basically, you need to take action. You need to take action with what's going on in your head.
Absolutely.
Natalie, how can people get hold of you? Because you work one-to-one with people, don't you?
I do, yeah.
How can people get hold of you if they'd like to work with you?
If you come and find me on Facebook, it's Natalie Barry. So it's Natalee Barry. Pretty simple. And there's lots of information on there. You can go and join my free group. Or if you want to send me, you can DM me on there as well. Or you can email Nat, N-A-T, at Natalie, Natalee, Barry, BARRY.com.
And I can give a wonderful recommendation for Natalie, because this is her second time on the show. She's also been a speaker at the Women in Business Big Show. So Natalie Barry, thank you so much. Adelle, it's nearly that time.
I know, it's gone so quick again.
Have you got a very quick tip for overcoming income barriers?
Exactly what Natalie says. Just sit down and write down what's holding you back. Until you get that out on paper, you're just procrastinating. Take action.
Yeah. And I think mine is doing that, writing down with questions. So ask yourself questions. You know, we're always asking questions. So write down a question. So it could be why aren't I earning the money I should? But it could be, how can I earn more money? And just see what pops out. Get your pen, your paper out. Start scribbling. Start drawing. We're going to have to head off. Unfortunately, we are going to be back next week, and with more. What should we have? Tips. Tricks, ideas from the world of women in business. We will. I've got myself caught up in my head. I'm turning round in my head to caught up in the chair. How is it we can never get on or off air without some sort of carry on?
It wouldn't be the show, would it?
It wouldn't. I'll tell you what. We will see you all next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Tune in next week to the Women in Business radio show for more stories, ideas, and inspiration to help you grow your business.